Alright. Good early morning to the world. Ready. Let's get to it. The world is a crazy place. And I am just happy to have something to do. Let's see here. And this cool music. Yeah, alright, here we go. It's loading, copying big old Photoshop files. There we go. Alright, here's where we left off. So far, these have, despite the giant file size, been handling decently well. All told. Oh, hey stranger. Are you a Zelda fan? Some cool stuff here. I'm like, ooh, I gotta fix that. Are you receiving? Clear. Hopefully they look cool even if you're not into Zelda, but... Good. No, just kidding. I'm a longtime Zelda fan, but I've never drawn any Zelda art before this, so it's maybe a long time coming. I'm like old school Zelda. Anyway, well, thanks for joining. Gonna be shading up some of this stuff. And it may or may not be exciting, but you're welcome to stick around. Yeah. The tracks I'll be playing are from an album on Spotify, Lo-Fi Leah, Season 3. And they all seem to be like nostalgic lo-fi tracks from like Nintendo. So kind of cool. Some of this stuff, it's been a while since I was drawing on it, and I don't remember necessarily the best. my approach that I would use is not necessarily leaping to mind. Just sort of funny. see. Are you an artist? Oh, good. Wait, it says right there, art. Liamau art. Liamau art. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're an artist. I'm trying to develop an art stream from scratch. I've been doing this for a few months, and people have been enjoying it, but most of the people are not artists, and it's been a small frustration of mine. But in the end, I suppose if everybody who watches has some appreciation for it, then what else really matters? What kind of art do you do? Oh, hey, thanks. I don't typically render in my... render like most people might think of rendering in my day job. I'm a storyboard artist in real life. And storyboards are usually so sketchy, we don't get any time to get anything anywhere close to this. And like I said, where I used to have some rendering practice on projects previous, it's been so long since I've used those skills. It's I'll probably embarrass myself today, but I appreciate your interest. You're a 2D artist. Okay, cool. I guess I'm a 2D artist. But what, like, are you a VTuber? You can tell I'm old and I have no idea what people are referring to sometimes. What time is it where you are? Because it's 4 a.m. in LA. And I'm always surprised when anybody's even in the chat at all. Does that mean you're in London? Londony? Or could you be in Japan? One side of the world versus the opposite? But yeah, I'm no geoguesser. North Africa. Very cool. You might be my... I mean, there could have been others, but you're the first to disclose that you are in North Africa. I should have some sort of map over here where I can put pins in it. I'm in Los Angeles, where it's 4 a.m., and I have small children, and a fairly busy household, so streaming super early in the morning is pretty much the best time for me to make sure that I have any time to be uninterrupted. Let's assume you're going to color it. What method are you going to use? I may not color this, to be honest with you. The speed at which I'm trying to execute might prohibit the time it takes to color. Although I do want to do some of these in color, but I can't do all of them in color, and I have to be smart about which ones I'm picking. But when I do my color method, I think you'd find it interesting. But I'm not sure if it has a name. It's not one that I've seen around. Be a tutorial. Well, you know, I did rough drawings for these first before I got to them. Here, I'll show you. Let's see if this works. Have you seen the have you seen this stream before? So this was the rough drawing for this sketch. You can see all these rough drawings. This is more... Oh, well, thanks for popping in. You take a risk on a rando stream. These were the rough drawings I did. So you can see like the rough drawing versus like sort of like the clean line art. So these rough drawings are more akin to what I do in storyboarding, which is very sketchy, sort of conceptual. Right, yeah. These are very quick in relation to everything else, so a lot of cool stuff happening in these. Been a lot of changes along the way. Yeah. But in these rough sketches, there's a, it's like a potentiation, the kernel of an idea. And I want it realized. And you can see here that something I was considering was having light from underneath the centipede. This is actually the monster is called a Lanmola, which is, I'm not sure what that means, but that's the name of the monster. But because I forgot that, I just went and did a bunch of shading. Is it more dynamic now? Sometimes I love the freshness of a rough sketch and all the impulsiveness. It has so much energy. But definitely, with progress, I've brought more I guess realism to it, but then again, this is sort of like a cheap way to make things look good, and then cheap and quick, and then this is, sometimes you gotta try to make it real. There are cool ways to do interesting things with color, I suppose. Well, I appreciate the flattery. Do you have art you want to share? Like, part of what I do is, if people have stuff, I'll look at it. Right now, you're the only person in chat. You have all my attention. But there's no pressure. It can be any time. But if any time you're like, hey, I got this piece, I want you to see it, what do you think? Totally share it, man. Okay. So, just to tell you what I'm doing right now, because it's starting to come back to me. Whether or not I'm doing color or just black and white, I think it makes sense to, and you can tell everything I'm doing is using layers. This is Painter. This is a Photoshop compatible program. So I'm making layers in a PSD file, basically. Thinking about light and shading, but also the different types of light and shading. So right now, I'm kind of trying to think of, if you'll understand the term, ambient occlusion, just like an occlusion pass. Occlusion is where light is blocked, so or hidden from light. So, like, I don't know what a good example is, but like where a foot touches the floor, the shade that happens where the foot is touching the floor, because light can't get into those like in between the fingers. When you squeeze them tight, light can't get in, so it makes these dark lines. That's kind of where I'm trying to make my accentuations at this stage, which is like, it's just like baby shading, very basic shading. So it's sort of lighting by default, because in the absence of actual lighting, this will give an impression of it. But that's just like one stage. Then I'll actually try to like think about where the light is coming from and how it's hitting and how it's reflecting, and the materialities. Are you an art student? Are you a professional artist? Are you a hobbyist? Are you... we're all students of art here. Ambient occlusion. Let me pull this up. Self-taught. I'm mostly self-taught myself. When I was in school, like I had to teach myself how to draw digitally. They didn't have classes for it when I started. So let's see here. Ambient occlusion is a shading and rendering technique in 3D computer graphics that calculates how much ambient lighting each point in a scene is exposed to. That's sort of like blah blah blah. But it's like this. This looks about right. Yeah, I don't need to do that. Let's just look at this photo. All right, well, sort of being a butthead, but you can see the difference in these balls. It's basically soft shadows at these contact points. So I'm going to try and give a pass of shading that makes this stuff look like this stuff. And yeah, I think we're all self-taught, right? You know? It is. It's soft. It's soft, and then later on we can do stuff that it feels more deliberate. There's also some trickiness because it's like, just to bring it back, these balls, like the soft render on the balls, it doesn't give us any of the sense of materiality. Like these look like they could be made of clay. But if they were actually, say, like shiny bowling balls or billiard balls, some of that shading would still be there, but you'd have other types of shading as well, or lighting, where you'd have like shiny highlights. And part of what I was doing, because this shows just the stuff I just added while you were on the chat, just this little bit. I got distracted because I still had this sort of really rudimentary sort of design shading. And I don't, a lot of these terms aren't, I don't know if a lot of this stuff is like written in stone. It's just sort of what I do that works. So I'm sort of combining two things, but I'm always in danger of like accidentally skipping important steps because I'm in a hurry or whatever. I'm lazy. I'm definitely lazy. So if you were to imagine that there was a very low amount of light that was just sort of everywhere in the room, there might be shadows like this, like towards the top of an object. There's not much shading, but then it wraps around and gets a little darker as it goes, without necessarily going to black except in some instances where there's like overlaps. What this should do is essentially make everything look like it's rendered in clay and lit very softly, like on a cloudy day. A very cloudy day. Like overcast, where the light is non-specifically coming and going in all the directions. And I don't need this stuff to look photoreal. I'm just trying to practice my skill and develop techniques, and some fluency in just the whole streaming factor at all. You may or may not be aware, but there are a lot of issues happening right now in Hollywood and entertainment more broadly in general, where a lot of shows are being canceled and a lot of artists are out of work. In an area where many artists are employed, it's been disconcerting for me to see so many people out of work. So I'm trying to think ahead of possibly down the road where maybe in 5 to 10 years I start doing more teaching stuff. And my brother is a streamer. He's been streaming for a while. He's been encouraging me to take it up. I appreciate your encouragement. Yeah, this is new stuff for me. Do you know what this is just a innocent question. Do you know what a storyboard artist is? Because a lot of what I've been realizing is that storyboard artists are very sort of invisible. We're very behind the scenes, as they say. We're not. We do so much important stuff, but we don't really get to take any credit for it. And part of what I'm also trying to do right now is create more visibility for my craft. Because there's a lot of bad information out there. There's also... Who are you referring to? I think you tried to make a reference to something and I didn't see it. Oh, a storyboard artist. Yeah, then you do understand what a storyboard artist. Yeah, very good. Yeah, that's a good description of what we do. A lot of what we do is we solve visual problems. Like, what's it look like when a hero is hiding from a monster? How do you stage? Where do you put the camera to make it most interesting so that it tells the story without using words? It's not that clear yet in this composition, but the hero guy here, Link, he's hiding in like a very dark area. He's sort of sneaking around from the corner, sort of coming up around. So even though the monster is sort of looking over, he doesn't see Link. He's searching in the light while Link is lurking in the dark. Exactly. At studios like Pixar, for instance, storyboard artists are like the heroes of production. But outside of animation, even though we do so much in, for instance, like Marvel movies and literally everything needs to get storyboarded, or else you're just going to make a bunch of mistakes. So I'm glad you're a fan, or at least you understand the importance. Do you play video games? Have you like did you ever play like Apex Legends? Do you ever play Clash of Clans? Okay. I love Metal Gear Solid myself. I mean, I played it when I was a teenager on the original PlayStation. Instead of doing my homework, I would just play Metal Gear Solid. And that's why I had to become an artist, because I didn't get good grades in high school. So for a lot of what I do is actually I do storyboarding for video game trailers. So I've storyboarded many of the launch trailers for Apex Legends, and I've done some storyboarding on commercials for Clash of Clans, and even the short film of Clash of Clans. So for me, it's not much of a stretch for me to say, well, hey, maybe I can work on the Zelda film, because yeah, it's fun sometimes to have opportunities to work on video game projects. And I have some experience in it, so that's why I'm feeling a little bit ambitious, thinking that, hey, maybe I can try and put myself out there just a little bit. Typically, I have an agent that books me on projects. So, for instance, on the video game project, I was recommended and referred to for the project, so that's one thing. But I don't typically go out and hunt my own jobs. Usually, they end up calling, but work has been slow lately because of just the shrinking creative economies right now. What do you use when do you draw digitally or do you draw traditional? Like pencil, pen, or do you have an iPad? Very cool. Are you following a lot of artists on Twitch? Add some shading to these bones now sticking out. I think in some ways I might have overdone the shading, like it's too dark perhaps, but I kept it all in its own separate layer so I can still have that control to bring as much or as little of it as I need. But in a real job scenario, I would almost never have the time. Do you make any comics or anything like that? Or when you follow other artists, are they just drawing individual pieces, or are they doing what we call sequential art, like comics or storyboards? When I turn these layers on and off, you can kind of see how the how it's all composed. It's like a sandwich of 1,000 different things. Oh, and here you can see, well, I suppose if you have really good eyes, you can see that at one point I had a bunch of texture on this mound, but I decided it felt like it was too much information. It was distracting, and so I shifted it to be more like this sort of smooth sand dune. So, and now that I've made that decision, it's definitely final. I'm going to go ahead and delete that layer. It's been around a while. Okay, here's the layer of sand. Whoa. Good, I thought that crashed. I just hit the wrong button. It's a great reminder, though, to save your work. If you're working on anything, you should save it right now. Yeah. If you've been enjoying this, I encourage you to check out some of the VODs, whatever the videos. I've saved all the parts of this in my archive of this, and and I'm uploading them to YouTube as well, just for backup purposes. So like up here, like you can see here, I've got it, the @max forward. If you search under YouTube or just Twitch, obviously you see me here, but the whole thing has been live streamed, and I've been saving everything because of more or less trying to prove, you don't need AI to make cool art. Like you can make cool art with AI, but it can't do everything, and it's not even necessary. So I'm trying to be a good advocate for the human process. So I'm hoping this seems potentially educational, and if you wanted to see like how I drew it originally all the way since the beginning, like you can see the whole process. I'm not saying all of it is great, but it might be interesting to look at, to at least fast forward through it, and then you can also see the stream evolution. But it's been many hours altogether. This is been a very large side project undertaking for me, but I've loved it. It's really helped keep me keep me from going crazy when things just aren't busy with work. Part of what I'm trying to do is be a little bit of an advocate for different techniques, and so I think it's safe to say generally I don't use ref. What I do use ref for is like reference, like I used references for Link's costume here because I didn't design the costume and I want the costume to look accurate to the character. But I don't use reference for my posing. So when we look here, like obviously this is a terrible sketch, but if you go back to, if you do end up going back, and you can see how I built out the figure using just what I know about figure drawing and my imagination. So if you're asking like if I took a picture of someone in this pose and used that as a reference, no, I didn't. This would be an interesting example of, you know, this is a rough sketch. Okay. All of these are like this guy, I drew him from my imagination, and I know how to draw people from my imagination because I'm a storyboard artist in real life. I have to be able to draw people super quickly without taking the time to search. Like, you have to be able to. And part of this, like I didn't look up an anatomy book to study. Well, I looked up like one thing for like the skeletons and stuff. I do have knowledge about anatomy, but that's not to say that everybody needs to or anything like that. I've made a case for myself to try to emulate what a lot of classic artists did. I think it's important to, even if we use digital tools, to think about the fundamentals. And part of this is being like, if we focus on fundamentals, then, well, I mean, it's not that the fundamentals are everything, but the solution to the problems that we run into, as opposed to just automatically going for like a picture reference so we can do it the easy way, is, there's another way. If you think it through, the world works in a sort of logical way. You can reason it out. Oh, whoops. I'm making mistakes because I'm drawing on the wrong layer, but we can just live with it. It still looks cool. You may be curious about the tool I'm using. This is it's a very versatile kind of brush that I've developed in Painter, which is the program I'm using. And Procreate has similar brushes, but just so you know, yeah, the brush I'm using, unless you're using Painter, like I can't even share it with you, but but they have similar brushes in Procreate, for instance. So if you have an iPad, essentially what this is it dynamically changes its shape and size based on the angle that you're holding the stylus. And then there's this soft edge, and then there's a harder edge on the other end. And so you can make like a gradient very easily, which makes it useful for shading, doing this kind of soft shading. Just a subtle effect of light shifting. I like this. I like looking up here. Like my drawing is down here, but I like looking up here because I see it in the thumbnail. And it's a good way of seeing the broad effect of the light instead of getting super focused in here where it's like a bunch of pixels. So this is the last one. What do you mean? The last piece I'm reshading. No, I'm going to go back and I'll make all these look as amazing as I can. Yesterday morning, I did... Like, I guess in some ways this looks like finished shading, but it's not. It's just the beginning. These are just... I'm going to try and bring this to, like, a concept art kind of finish. Where it can look like something, you know, I basically want to see if I can get Nintendo to hire me to be an artist on the Zelda movie. Because they announced it's in development, and I want to see if I can shoot my shot at getting in there. I don't know how to do it, but I'm gonna try. Well, one thing that encouraged me was that Nintendo put out a statement saying that they don't want any AR. They're not going to embrace any AI art in any of their development, for video games at least. I don't know if that will apply to movies, but I think it could or should. Thank you. I appreciate the encouragement. I feel like in some ways I'm starting fresh. There's been such a shakeup in how things are done. And, you know, we have to blame it on the technology, but the reality is that everything's already messed up. Now we just have to deal with it. And I'm going to try and adapt to the new world by focusing on how I can bring usefulness using techniques that are overlooked. Just classic drawing skill. The stuff that most people skip. want this. I'll know this is good when it, like, people look at it and it like controls their minds via hypnosis. And they just go, wow. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of work. And a lot of this stuff I'm not an expert in. So it's going to be a big learning experience for me too. It's a great way of sort of spinning a negative into a positive, because if not for things being slow, I never would have picked up streaming or yeah. I'm pretty good at getting things, looking good in a composition pretty quickly. The question is, can I work on a single drawing for a very long time without going insane? Because that's not what I do typically. People don't pay me to finish drawings and spend a lot of time on them. They pay me to do them in minutes, not days. So but I love being able to. I'll tell you something else. It used to be that the work that I do, it used to happen in a studio. Like, I'm in LA and I used to drive to a studio where I would meet directors, I would work next to other artists, I would have meetings with producers. All of this was in person. Granted, I had to drive. I had to commute to sometimes faraway places. But I would network in person with a lot of different people on a given day. Now, everything is work from home. And I'm lucky that I sort of got started where I could use those contacts from where I was working in person to still carry over to work from home. But it's different. I'm not meeting as many people on a daily basis. The networking and the camaraderie, like it used to be, I would make friends with other artists like in real life. And I can't do that anymore. It's just me in my room. I'm not connecting. And it's fun for me now to have a feeling of like, okay, I can talk to people about art via. Oops, sorry, I hit. Hopefully that didn't mess anything up. I hit the sleep corner. I do. I didn't realize I would miss the artistic community until it was totally gone. And then, it was making me more sad than I realized. But now I can feel like I can connect. Like I used to meet young artists at a studio, like young art interns, and they would ask me questions and I would help them and, give them pointers and feel like I was doing a good thing doing that. And then all that was removed. I can't be a good example. I can't be a good influence on anything. Except now I feel like I can do this. This is a good substitute Okay. So you can see what had to happen here is I had to have the far away part of his body on a different layer than the legs, because the far away part of the body is past this dune of sand, but the legs are in front of the dune of sand, sort of going into Z space. So there's a lot of potential depth here. Now you have to, you don't have to, but if you ever come back, like on a different stream or whatever, see if you can post a link to your drawings or something like that. The I'm just curious. Unless it's like not safe for work stuff or whatever. I probably shouldn't click on stuff like that, but and it's not like, oh, I'll give you a critique or whatever. Like if you really wanted one, okay, here. Okay. I like to live dangerously by clicking random links in chat. Okay, wow. This is good. I love this self-taught artist. Oop. Accidentally hit it, I think. I did not mean to do that. Here, I'll just click the link again. Busy with real life stuff. I dig it. Why does that keep happening? There it is. Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to hide my bookmarks and stuff. I'm bad at streaming where I'm keeping things. You have a great style. Hey man, you're like better than me. This is great. Here, I'm gonna follow you. You've got 80,000 followers. That's funny. I've got like 200 followers on my Zelda account, so. I love it. So like these are, I'm gonna guess, like these are studies, right? This is what I get for insisting you post, because now you're dunking on me with your amazing art. Super buff dudes. Metal Gear Solid looking guy. Amazing. Crazy talent. I love the hands. Your hair. Lovely. This guy looks like me. Cool. I'm your newest fan. I love this. Just goes on and on. Cool. I dig that. I love the experimentation and the range, but also you have this very recognizable sort of instantness. Always going with the ink brush. And that's... Is that bad because you like using gray lines sometimes, or you like the texture now? It's great composition. So you should be streaming. If you're not, then you should. People would watch this all day. I mean, but you got in real life stuff, so nothing you don't already know. But this is, I mean, this is like fan art stuff. This is kind of what I'm trying to do with this. You should be storyboarding on Hollywood movies with Wolverine, Star Wars. You've got a great knack for likenesses and interesting characters. Oh, okay. That's him. I mean it. You know, I don't hand out compliments. Not that you don't get thousands and thousands and thousands of compliments from people already, but I'm sure you know it means a lot more when it's coming from like a real artist. So now that I know you're really good, then I appreciate your compliments even more. Is this 3D? Yeah, looks like it is. We've lost him to 3D. That's funny. Fun. All right, well, I'm gonna give this one a like. 29 weeks, so you're not posting much right now. January 6th. Amazing. Really great. Did you have an incident happen? You don't have to disclose, but sometimes people get injured or they have a lot of personal things happen. No. But funny, because, you know, you're talking about poses and references and inspirations and stuff like that, but it's I'm not sure. You know, I'm like, oh, I should give this person advice. I'm not sure I could adequately justify passing notes to anybody drawing that well. Is not in need of a not in a desperate need for much, even compliments. That's just the truth. Does it translate to, I mean, are you 80,000? That's like you're like an influencer. I think that's cool. Was it like asking for someone who, like, you know, I draw well too, but like I'm a nobody. So I'm just sort of curious. Was it do you go to, like, I don't know, you're in North Africa, I don't know if it's the same. Do you have conventions that you go to and make prints? Is there a way that you do business? Do you sell stickers? I'm just curious, like, because part of what I want to think about doing is, like, can I make a business for myself outside of being a storyboard artist where I can feel like I've got like a thing that I can control better than right now. I've had a good reason to do so, but I've put a lot of trust in other people to provide the work for me. And now that it feels like you just did commissions, I'm sure people would be very excited to have your take on their OCs and whatnot. Did you find that was good work, or was it rough, or you didn't like doing it? And I don't want to interrogate you. Like, if you are like, I don't want to answer all these questions, like, you don't have to. It's not a big deal. But I'm just, you're probably the more, if not the most talented artist I've had pop into my stream. So this is just cool. For the education of anybody else who might be watching, it's fun to have an artist-to-artist chat. Your style has the hallmark of self-taughtness and just sort of like, you know why it looks like you're self-taught? Because you're incredibly good, and it looks like you don't need to go to school. Similar situation in my case, but now I have to ask, because you don't have to disclose, but I'm curious how old you are, because that's like a talent that, like, a person who is my age, like 40, if they draw that well, that's a great position to be in. So if you are my age or younger, you are, I feel like it's enviable. You're 24, you're drawing like that. That's insane. This is why I love the internet. Like, there'd be no way for people to like connect otherwise and like learn stuff about other people. It's absurd. Well, you know, now I'm angry. No, this is really cool to see. Let me pop it up. Pop it up just one more time. Beyond this, where can we find more of your work? Do you do drawing Ben 10? I mean, you probably get 1,000 quote tweets or whatever. Are you on Twitter? Is Twitter bad? Is it good? I don't know. Do you have a website? Not that like me plugging you here will do anything, but I'm just curious because this is just really cool stuff. Yeah, this looks like Henry Cavill. That's funny. You do great likenesses, but also keep them in your style. Do you like, is this the, is there like an underdrawing to this? Because it's like, even on our, like, let's say you were being devious and like this is actually traced or something like that. It's an amazing, even in that case, it would be amazing. It doesn't look like you did. It looks like it's got just great construction. But if you have Twitter, you should go there. There's algorithm. Oh, here, I just drew the same pic this week. So there was a cool pic of him that you probably referenced. Recognized him immediately. There are people who do what I do who draw with a lot less talent than this. And I would love to see a more but there's not I mean I guess it depends on the work you want to do, but here we go, commissions open. Amazing stuff. You gotta raise your prices, raise your prices. Everybody's circumstances are different, but if you're in a position where you feel like you can risk it and try, you have a serious career in art ahead of you. That is my prediction. I predict it. People can go to art school graduate, and then not draw with a fraction of that kind of fluency. It just looks effortless. It's just great. Thanks. I mean, I didn't design it from scratch. I don't want to take like all the credit for it, but it's been slowly tweaked over my career, and I have variants on it that are very useful for different things. And it makes gives a fun, distinctive look to my work. It definitely helps for getting things in a good place quickly. And it kind of creates this neat little sort of artifacting where the striations sort of intersect. It creates information and texture, which is sort of distinctive. I don't know if I'm doing more harm than good. Probably over-rendering a bit here. A little too much. The I do figure drawings if you're interested in that. If you look, let's see here. If you look here, oh. If you look here, oh, come on. Oh. Okay. Here. At axe_drawform on Instagram, I post my figure drawings. And a lot of those are drawn with this brush. It's a tricky thing, like so Painter is not a very widespread used program. So unlike people who develop and sell brushes for Photoshop and make a bunch of money that way, I can't really sell this Painter brush or share it because people don't use Painter. But I think other programs can have a similar effect. It just has to get developed. And I don't know how to do that. Painter is what I use for my work and for drawing and all this stuff. It's Corel Painter. It's just a weird program that has bad marketing and a lot of bad tools. But it has a really solid brush engine that me and maybe a dozen other artists have decided that we can't live without. How long have you been drawing? That's like the cringiest question to ask an artist, but in your case, it's you're quite good. So now I'm curious. I started drawing when I was like born. My parents were professional artists. My mom worked at Disney, for instance, so as a storyboard artist. Um, so I'm kind of curious. Sometimes I wonder if having artistic parents helps, or if it just comes out of nowhere. And I don't want it to come across like I know what this needs to look like while I'm doing this stuff. If this looks good, like, I'm pleased at how this is looking right now. Like, it doesn't look half bad, but that doesn't mean like I had a genius vision. I'm just experimenting right now, really. You started digitally in 2020 with you weren't drawing before that, or just talking digitally? Good. I'm glad you like comics. Comics are you should be drawing them. Do you have a comic project that you, not that comics are the are a great way to make a living, but I had a comic book project myself for a long time. Comics, superheroes. Good. Okay, good. The world needs more of your stuff. I want to see more. You're super talented, super talented. And I don't hand out flattery or compliments to people who suck. So I genuinely endorse your career. And I'll put it out there that also that the since you are really good, just something I've noticed as I've gotten older where no, I haven't seen the new Deadpool movie yet. I've seen it happen where a lot of great artists sort of take themselves out through the, and that sounds cryptic, but it's a there sometimes talent, it can be like your own worst enemy sometimes. Get you into trouble. There's a lot of ways to sort of interpret that, but you know, you're in a good position. You've got you've got the skill part down. Now but like sometimes the hardest part is like the business side, you know? Yeah, I haven't seen the new Deadpool, but I do want to. I do want to. Exactly. The the demons. Yeah, that looks cool. Alright, I'm going to add a little shading to the background. Not a lot. But I'm going to try and make some clearer decisions about some things. And then what happened here? Okay. Something to make it clearer that the light is not actually coming from the sky. It's sort of ambient to the room, but that what's up here is not a skylight. That if there's lighting in the room, it's from torches maybe that are set along ancient sconces in the ceiling or on the walls. I'm getting a text message. It's getting to be early morning in LA, and I have to jump in the next 10 minutes, get my kids ready for preschool, summer camp, etc. It's really nice to talk to you. Finding your channel was treasure. Catch you in your next stream, hopefully. Have a nice day. Take care. Thank you so much for stopping by. Yeah, I am going to stop in a second, but I really appreciate you stopping by. And please come back next time, anytime. And you should stream too. That would be the I'll return the favor. Come bug you on your stream one day. Just want to lighten up. That little bit right there. Kind of cool looking. Feels like progress. All right. Call it a day there, or a stream there. Probably do more in a little bit. And if anybody's watching, thanks so much. See you next time.